Hello, hello.
Is there actual booze, or am I have to supply
Oh,
my
that was
own
the
booze?
blockchain booze. So we're live now. Hold on. You got like so many devices when you're doing live stream, and it's like, oh wait, no, that's the live streaming thing, and that's the
Wait,
camera.
hold on. I'm gonna. It's blockchain and booze. I'm gonna go grab myself some booze.
No. Okay, well, yeah, we'll make it a. We'll still okay. We can maintain the theme. Go ahead. Go. Let's see. Okay. What are you drinking, Lynn?
I don't know. Mango IPA. It's a Florida. It's a Florida thing.
Well done. And you got a lot going on this week because of the Grammys. This is the first Grammys in which OneOf is a thing, let alone the fact that the Grammys is the exclusive NFT partner for the Grammys for the next, how many years? Multi-year partnership? Is it just a general?
Yeah, it's the 64th Grammys. And this is the first year Grammy had a NFT partnership, and we have a multi-year deal. So 3+ years. So
okay, so I got like on OneOf, I get like a couple drops for like the Grammy events. They come in sequence and they surprise your inbox, like if you're on the OneOf list. So what's the plan for these Grammy drops that we're getting on NFT? Because I've been meaning to ask you about that.
Yeah, so today actually, I don't know if it's sold out or not already. So we have basically the final pre-Grammy drop for the 64th Grammys. It's actually designed by, we had 3 amazing artists design each designed a collection. So the third artist, which is ThenkYouX, just his Grammys collection just unveiled on OneOf.com/Grammys today. So he designed 64 different pieces. So some of the super rare, some of the those are just kind of 64 unique different Grammy reinterpretation of the Grammy gramophone. So there are different art around it. He had these like splash color palettes. And some of the items were, we minted 5 editions each, right? So there are 51 pieces that have 5 editions each. Those are on sale for about $250. So today's price probably 60 some Tez. And then there are 12 pieces that are only 3 editions each. You can get a 1 of 3. Of one of the 12 pieces. Those are gramophones with like a huge color wave splash in the background. And then there is one of 1 piece that basically auction starts now. It goes for the whole week. It
started now?
I think the auction is started already. So the auction basically actually, so it's a 1 of 1 animated piece by ThenkYouX. And it comes with actual VIP tickets to next year, because obviously this year, by the time the auction closes, the Grammys will be in progress. So it'll be the winner will have tickets to the collector will have tickets to the next year's Grammys. But if you think about ThenkYouX, ThenkYouX is probably, other than Beeple and Mad Dog Jones, I would say those are probably the 3 highest grossing, most well-known crypto artists, period. So to be able to own a ThenkYouX piece for $250 is like unheard of, right? And to own a piece of his for $2,000 is like unheard of. So those are basically the prices for the 1 of 5 editions and 1 of 3 editions. Super rare pieces. And then also, just like this is the first time ThenkYouX, as like one of the top 3 crypto artists, has done a drop on Tezos. Like never, right? Like we're basically now it's like even beyond the significance of music, it's just we're actually bringing the crypto art community, the the guys that represents the $1 million sales actually dropping on OneOf platform and onto the Tezos on the Tezos blockchain. So
Right. And what I before, by the way, this is Adele Lazarian.
hi Adele.
Hi.
How you doing? You are in
It's
a dimly lit place on
I'm
a
good.
vertical
Thank
video.
you so much for having me. I'm sorry for the background noise and for the transition. I've literally been in between meetings, but Kevin is so incredible. We're so honored to have him on the American Blockchain Pact Board of Advisors. Seriously. And so it just, I heard about this and I was like, I need to be here. I need to, show support, and just so thrilled for everything that he's doing with Tezos DeFi and everything that's ahead. It's so nice to meet you.
Yeah, and I wanted to have you on because one of the things that we're announcing today is an expansion, a change to our U.S. policy with USDtz. We're gonna get in the thick of all this, but what we're working on, and I joined a few months ago to the new American Blockchain Super PAC as an advisor, particularly with regard to DeFi. We have other great minds and talents in the room. And with yourself and Scott Sternetta and of course Todd, of course, is just fantastic putting everything together. And like we're finding increasingly, especially now when everything going on in the news, like this kind of stuff with regard to policy is a lot. It's just getting much more prominent, and people are realizing there's heat on this. Combine that with the midterm election coming in November, but we have to, well, we'll get into all the inside baseball, but yeah, and of course, Lynn, you operate in the U.S., so with OneOf, so it's a thing that affects all of us, particularly with regard to commerce, and with Tezos especially. I think we were talking the other day even just about how commerce, Coinbase Commerce still doesn't have Tez. You can't do it, and that was something we ran into with the American Blockchain Super PAC as well, trying to accept Tez donations for the Super PAC.
Absolutely.
We can't take Tez because of just the complications of policy, making it not easy for not every platform to immediately adopt it in the way that certain other chains have been able to be adopted sooner. So it's not just about want to. Sometimes it has to do with policy. But yeah. And I want to go back to what you were talking about, Lynn, with the Grammy drop. So the other thing I think of with this, because you do have like a tiered set of collections coming out ultimately, and I looked at just now at the auction, it's at 20,000. The bid is at 20,000. I think the record for OneOf is still the Whitney Houston drop of was it 999,999? I think it was exactly,
yeah, it was like a dollar shy of a million. So
yeah. People think I'm saying that like just as a colloquial expression. No, it was literally $999,999, and that was the 14th most expensive NFT sold, period, historically at that time, especially. I think it still stands. But yeah, so because this is a multi-year partnership with the Grammys, like the first set of this, like year one, that has a special significance. For those looking for something that has a particular rarity, or that will age with time, those sort of long players. So that's why it's worth paying attention to, even beyond just the immediate Grammy enthusiasts.
Yeah, I think well, sometimes these award shows you're kind of like, oh, it's kind of like not my thing, right? And then like then somebody slaps somebody and you're like paying attention again. So we're a little civilized at the Grammy side. But I think part of this is for those, most people don't know this, like Grammys is completely a nonprofit organization, right? So it's basically to support musicians, education and support for musicians. And then Grammy also have the Music Care Foundation. So the Recording Academy is a nonprofit organization, and really Grammys is the award show is the primary funding mechanism for for the academy and all the good it does for all the musicians and education throughout the year. So so this is kind of the first year we're basically thinking about, hey, NFTs represent so much potential for the future of music business model and for the future of musician career. We need to educate musicians about it, right? So so what we do is actually, like, you know, we're just talking about the Thank You X one is auction for I think, you know, starting bid is 20,000, but like we also have a free Grammy NFT right now, right? Like, so we actually have 2 free Grammy NFT. The 64th you know, the 64th annual Grammy free NFT is actually completely claimed out. So you can't even get one anymore, even if it's a free one. There's a limited claim period. Right now, we're actually giving away the 65th, next year's Grammy, right? There's a transition one that we designed that is basically part of the 64, looking forward to 65. So that is actually available for claim on oneof.com/Grammys right now. So even if you are new to blockchain, you're old to blockchain, you're sophisticated, you're a newbie, you can just go sign up a OneOf account and for free, and then get your free Grammy. I mean, I think that's actually even the free piece is going to be worth something, like, just because it's so like such an iconic brand that you get a piece of. But you know, up to the range of you can get $250 you know, edition, like platinum edition of Thank You X. We were just talking about how Thank You X is you know, like his pieces sells for millions, right? Like to be able to get, like, you know, a 1 of 5 edition from Thank You X for just like $250 of the Grammy, like gramophone, like you know, one of the 64 unique designs. It's like unheard of. So but you know, I think we're really trying to bring NFT to the masses. That's the, you know, NFT is kind of the gateway education for blockchain. Why blockchain is important, why blockchain is kind of life-changing, could be life-changing for people. Like, so we're trying to, you know, even when we're working with these like world-class artists, we're not trying to say like, yo, let's just let's price this as at $1 million, right? Like, we basically were like, let's try to do something where everybody can get a piece of, can we do a free drop with you? Like, that's always the ask, actually. Like, we always go in and be like, let's do a free drop. And like, you know, 99% of artists are like, why will we do a free drop? And then we educate them, and we get like, you know, we get like kind of, you know, some of the artists actually gets it. Like, this is a fan engagement. This is a community building exercise. So so when we're able to achieve that, it's like very exciting. And so Grammys is totally on this page of like, you know, it's not for profit. It's really about education, about how NFTs can change musicians' career in a big way.
Yeah, I mean, like, people forget that, like, people think of the Recording Academy when it's like Grammy time, but then it's like, oh yeah, there's a thing that they do, and then maybe you hear about like what their initiatives are at the awards show, but it's mostly like it doesn't come on your radar before that. It's like, no, there's a whole year of stuff happening. This is kind of a capstone event. You know, it's kind of like
so
yeah.
You know, so I think also the what's exciting is our partnership is with the Recording Academy. We have a 3+ year partnership with the Recording Academy, which means it's actually not just about the Grammys. We're going to be dropping NFTs before the Grammys, after the Grammys, throughout the year, right? So we, you know, like, I think we did earlier this year, we, in partnership with Music Here, which is the Grammy fund, Grammy backed a charity that supports music education, we auctioned off Keith Richards' guitar, right? Autographed Keith Richards guitar. Normally these, you know, like physical celebrity guitars, when they gets auctioned off, it goes for like thousands of dollars, right? Like maybe $10,000. That guitar, because it comes with the NFT, that went for $50,000. That went for 5 times, right? So 100% of that went to you know, went to the Music Care Foundation. But like, what a tremendous use case that like, you know, a physical memorabilia from a celebrity would have sold for 10,000. That you know, because it's an NFT plus a physical item that basically, you know, like 5x the price. So you know, I think even like, you know, the art, you know, Keith was like very blown away. Our auction house partner, you know, was very blown away. So it's you know, I think there's just so much to uncover, how this intersects could support, you know, great cause, NFT can support great causes and music education and all of that.
Yeah. And oh, Adele's back. Can't hear you.
I wanted to say, sorry, but Lynn, I love that you mentioned also the fact that you do sometimes these, and I love what OneOf is doing. It's so amazing. By the way, I'm not behind a prison, I promise you. But I love what you guys are doing, and the fact that you mentioned you do those free drops sometimes of NFTs. It's part of educating, informing people. That's one of the main things that we're also doing in the American Blockchain Pact, is obviously helping to inform people of what this whole crypto, NFT, Web3, this whole space is. Because the more knowledge is power, and the more they know about it, the more that you incentivize them to get involved, the more interested they become. They realize just how critically important it is to the future of music, to the future of even in, you know, philanthropy. I love that you're so philanthropic. Of course, the Grammys is a very philanthropic organization, and that's what we're about too. I just think that the intersection between music, the arts, and with the crypto space, it's we're literally all of us here in the midst of writing history and creating history, and so it's such an absolute honor to be part of this journey with everyone here. And just want to thank you for everything that you're all doing, and I'm so glad that we're, you know, with Kevin, and thank you for everything you're doing. Hope to meet you soon as well, and just excited, and hopefully we'll be able to collaborate on future projects together as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think there's it is a community of builders, right? So, and it's a community of people that we're kind of expanding the education to. So, you know, it's just super important to be able to communicate to both the mass consumer and also to policymakers why this is important, right? So this is, you know, the Grammy deal, we made sure when we basically structure the deal, it is a multi-year deal because it signals to, you know, the consumers and the industry that like, you know, blockchain and NFT is not a fad, right? It's not like just Grammy want to like make some money this year. They really think this is like part of the music industry going forward. That's why they're like, we're not only going to do this year, we're going to do next year, we're going to do the next 3 years, and also we're going to weave this into programming throughout the year, because it's not just about a award show. It's just about, you know, it's about kind of education and the industry, like, you know, throughout the year. And I think it's like Kevin said, like, oh, like what people didn't know, the Cami does so much good throughout the year. And I'm like, well, actually, we can probably tell that story better if there is NFT drops from, like, you know, from Keith Richards to whoever else throughout the year that supports the foundation to basically really tell the story and bring it to people's attention, whether it's like, you know, whether it's kind of schools are cutting music budget, and because, you know, post COVID they don't have enough teachers to come back to do that. And you know, these are important things. The, you know, the Music Cares and the Academy Foundation really supports, right? Also like the rights of you know, not only the biggest artists but also independent artists, and also of the writers and the producers, right? So kind of you know, we hear a lot about just how, you know, so many artists aren't able to make a living on streaming, and then NFT can potentially really fundamentally change that. So this is, you know, we kind of already saw that on for art artists, right? So like Tezos like Hickman on Tezos is like huge example of how like just like I don't know how many thousands of artists are able to now do art for a living. You don't have to be Thank You X that sells, you know, your piece for $500,000. You can actually, if you are an artist that is just selling like, you know, $200 worth of art on one of the platforms like every day, that's like now you are really able to like it's a full-time, it can be your full-time, you know, job passion now. Like it doesn't have to be kind of a part-time thing. So just like what blockchain entity did for art, like that's what you can do for independent musicians as well. So
absolutely. And before, one thing I'll say before I go, and thank you for having me again. Music for me is just, I think for so many people can attest to it. It impacts their life. It lifts your spirits. It has saved so many people, especially during COVID, right? Being able to express yourself and through different medium. And I'm a singer myself, so understand. And the fact that you're right, it's provided these artists with the opportunity to be able to profit from their work. And I love the philanthropic spirit. I think it's so important, especially in this crypto digital assets, you know, NFT space, to teach also that culture of giving and philanthropy. And so I commend everyone here for pushing for that. I have to drop off now, but I'm looking forward to seeing you all soon. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Should have put the US blockchain pack. We should have asked for a shout out for the like how to contact and all that. Oh well. Kind of over this background. That I feel like this is more business.
Whatever, it's your show.
Yeah.
You don't have a. I'm surprised you don't have a. You have a TZ background.
Oh well, I have other things, but these are from past broadcasts. So there's this. But then I'm also thinking of doing a thing for like with Tezos Spaces, because I saw that you can only like they delete the episodes after like 30 days or whatever. Just like, oh man, I thought it was going to be like this archive and it would be like a podcast. And then you could like, it's like, no, it's just done. It's a temporary thing. So I made this one. And yeah.
Pretty amazing. We used to do this from a TriCaster. This is
pretty
completely
cool, right?
software. Like, you know, I literally used to have a, you know, $20,000 rig that basically can flip through all these things.
Right. I had this one. This one doesn't do quite as well. But no, let's.
You are multi-talented. Let's say that.
I do think that this one will be. We did see. Okay, yeah. So we did in the past one for TezFin on the TezFin channel, and which we demoed TezFin as operating just as on testnet. And we got a couple other updates on what's going on when we're having release and all that. So right now, the lending platform has been the thing that for stable tech that everyone has been waiting for. We're like at the last part of the last part of the last part. So just get ready for something momentarily. But yeah, but back to the stablecoin side of things, because we're going to go back to the governance stage, the proposal stage pretty soon. Now we have, I was hoping we could have gotten him on, but he's Paris time. Someone full-time who's doing our protocol proposals, coding it. It's a full-time job. In the past, we've had people do those those stable tech USDtz proposals just kind of ad hoc and like on the side of what they were already doing, which is their main thing. But given the way that we have structured, like the way governance is on Tezos, at least at this point, it's okay. We need a little bit more. It's a learning curve. So we adapted to it. But one thing that is going to happen is, and I wanted to also bring in Bilal, but he's also Paris time, because Dogami is getting in on this too, is we're going to start rolling out actual payments for USDtz as sort of just as much as you would use a stablecoin, say on something like OpenSea. Or any of these other platforms, like they would use USDC and all that. On Tezos, we don't have a dollar back. Well, we have USDtz. We don't have USDC or USDT yet, though that's coming. But at this point, having a dollar back stablecoin, it's something that, you know, I spend probably most of my times in NFT rooms and spaces more than I do for DeFi stuff, just because like that's where the commerce is. That's like what's really what Tezos is at this point. It's mostly NFTs. And you tweeted this before, but you know we could talk more about it now. That we'd be using USDtz stablecoin as a primary payment mechanism or primary stablecoin for payment mechanisms is much broader for OneOf. And Dogami, they'll be doing USDtz as well as Lug URL stablecoin for Euro. Yeah. So, I mean, have you gotten like requests for, well, I mean, I guess because OneOf does, at this point, it's a credit card module, but have there been like calls from like any side of the industry about stablecoins and like what you could do with them?
You know, I think for us, it's like, we want to make onboarding easy. So we kind of, you know, we think it's important kind of from like day zero to really have fiat onboarding ramp, right? So that's direct credit card payment. You know, I think we, you know, there's a lot of different opinions about that. And you know, like I'll be the first one to say that like that is not the future, right? The future is like full on-chain payment. It just in order, our goal is a little bit different than you know, other project where we are looking to educate and bring the next 100 million non-crypto native fans onto blockchain through the power of Doja Cat or Grammys or Sports Illustrated or whatever like your passion point is. You may not care about blockchain or Tezos or Polygon, but you could just be a huge like Whitney Houston fan or a you know, a huge like you know, Jerry Rice fan, or maybe you watch the Grammy live stream and you're like, oh, let me get my the free, you know, free NFT. So that first experience, we basically time it where you can sign up with an email and a phone number, and go pick something out and be able to pay it with your credit card, and that whole experience should be 2.5 minutes.
Right.
You know, my mom took about just under 6 minutes to complete, but you know, I say like that's actually still pretty good for my mom to be able to go through the experience and complete that. So we denominate because it's kind of, you know, like I think our core, you know, our bigger target audience is non-crypto native fans. We also denominate our purchases in US dollars. So it's kind of atypical for NFT marketplaces to do that, right? So now paying with, I would say, accept payments with credit card is like end up not, you know, kind of it's easy for if you don't understand crypto, but it's not really great for the merchant or the user, right? For the user, there is like we actually, you know, Tezos fee, like transaction fee on Tezos is so low, we actually completely 100% subsidizes it. So if you pay with Tez, right now it's zero fee. It's zero fee. It's just like if it's a $10 NFT, it's a $200 NFT. It's exactly the conversion price that, like, you know, we basically get a quote from our system get a quote from Coinbase. We quote you that price, how many Tez that is. That's how much Tez you pay. There's no gas on top of that. We absorb 100% of that. But if you pay with credit card, we do actually pass on the cost because the credit card company the processor charge, you know, kind of 3% or whatever plus on that.
I remember when services like Uber and Lyft, and when they started, like you could get a ride for like nothing. Like it was so easy to get credits for just like free miles. And everyone asked at that time, how do they even make money? Well, of course, at that time they were subsidizing it, and it's expensive, but they did it, which is also why they had to really, had the issues they did where they had to lever a lot more money. I mean, it was mostly that and legal. But anyway, so we see some of that. I think today there are times when like the marketplace will like subsidize it, like they'll eat the cost, which is great. But like, I think for a user perspective, they can see that in multiple places. It's like this thing is so, you know, economical that you can sustain that. It's not even like you
It's
can
like
sustain it forever.
potentially
It's not,
indefinitely, right? It's
yeah,
potentially right. So like, I think transaction costs potentially could go up if total network traffic and transaction volume just goes up, right? So but I think what the Tezos governance system has shown is right, like I think there were proposals that was proposed just to slash transaction costs, and that was done. That was one of one of the main reasons that actually drove us to basically
yeah.
decide to launch on Tezos. That was I think the proposal that went through in end of 2020. There was
Delphi.
yeah, there was an upgrade that was in
Yeah.
around like October, November time that basically made it like a no-brainer for us. We're just like, wow, like, I think the transaction cost got slashed by like half or something, and then we're like,
Yeah, I think it was 70% actually.
yeah, it was like significant. It was basically
Yeah.
at that point we're just like, okay, well, like this we can subsidize, right? Like this we can like either pass on to our user that will be not noticeable, or we can actually afford to subsidize this.
Right.
The whole point was like Taylor Swift don't want to sell just $1 million NFT. She want to sell $1 million $1 NFTs. Just because
Right.
she makes the same amount of money, but she doesn't want her fans to say like she only cater to her richest fan, right?
Right.
And you can't possibly do that if the gas fee is even you can do that even like if the minting cost is $2, right? Like on Solana, it's like Solana is great in a lot of ways. Solana NFT minting system it's about $2 an NFT, right? So it's actually not great for this music use case, because music has always been sold for $1. Music per track, right? If you think about like since digital music has started, Apple has priced digital music to sell for 99 cents.
Right.
So like at $1, you can probably move a lot of units. At $1, if an artist says like, if like Doja Cat says like, like my next album, I'm gonna sell the single, and it's 99 cents, and it's like only available on like as an NFT. She'll probably sell millions of these, right? She'll sell millions of these. So yeah, so like so really, if you look at kind of for the music use case, to be able to allow artists to price an NFT at whatever they want, and to basically allow user to interact without incurring transaction fees, Tezos is kind of like a pretty great no-brainer choice. So I think we're pretty happy with that choice. Kind of launching on Tezos, and going back to the stablecoin part, we're pricing everything in USD anyways, and kind of it's kind of annoying taking fiat transactions. So it would be great if like we can allow kind of stablecoin payment in USD, right? So because like to accept fiat payment, really you're talking about the merchant take on so much risk, right? So there are chargebacks, there are fraud. I mean, like I mean, shame on you if you're one of the guys that use a stolen credit card to buy $200 worth of NFTs and then try to flip it on somebody else. Like, it's like, just like, it's unnecessary, right? Like,
Right.
it's just like, we're not talking about like, you know, like we don't even have things for sale for like, you know, like $100,000 and you can like basically like make like, it's just like,
Exactly.
but we deal with that, right? So like, you know, I think longer term, it's really not the, you know, the stable coin have such a better use case model for kind of everyday transactions, right? So we kind of didn't want to price it in ETH or TEZ just because it's kind of confusing to the mass market consumer that maybe like this is like their first crypto experience. Just be like, what is point, you know, like 1.5 ETH or what it is like 68 TEZ. So just like, okay, you know dollars, right? So and there's a lot of advantage just like, okay, like throw your dollars into a dollar stable coin and then you know, you can hold it in your wallet and spend against you know, this is a real use case on how to spend your crypto. You're getting
and I feel like there are like 3 waves of NFT marketplaces that we've experienced over the last year and a half, whatever you want to call it. And it's more like, I think of it as like, okay, you have the first wave ones like the OpenSea, where they didn't even necessarily think that art was going to be the thing that would drive them forward. It was, you know, it was NFTs. It just so, but art really blew up, and the kind of art that was traded predominantly has changed. You know, it became more the highest by far PFPs, which is very different in design and in market and in so many ways. But underlying all this, or overarching it perhaps, are NFTs. But so like there've been adaptations there, and they were kind of maybe using the tools like MetaMask, a very like raw Web3 guts and exposed pipe and wiring, because that's how we did stuff in the decentralized world of Web3, and that was the only way. Then you had like the second wave, which the people who maybe use those products, and these are like Ekit Nunk, you know, and maybe like the ones that we saw like emerge, kind of looking at, wow, this kind of blew up with OpenSea. Let's try it a different way. And they were speaking maybe more towards themselves and what people in the NFT market necessarily like, what they needed. And that included maybe good design that could onboard new people because they know what it's like to get newly onboarded. But nonetheless, these are people who are capable of and willing and to continue in that sort of Web3 guts exposed kind of way. But then I think there's this larger, smarter market of that can bring in the larger deals that have a good assessment of risk, of corporate responsibility, of capital. You know, and they can bring in partners upstream and downstream, and they're looking at a market which matches that. So, okay, this is Quincy Jones. This is, you know, the Recording Academy. This is, you know, Warner Music, which you also have a deal with. Like, okay, they're not in it for like tens of thousands of users getting involved, which is, or like tens of thousands per day, which is what the peak, like the most used NFT marketplace on a good day, on actually on a fantastic rare day, that just absolutely, you know, you're still not really breaking 100,000 users a day. So we're talking about a whole different universe. And I think for some people, most people obviously get that. I think some are still like coming out to like understand that, oh, this brings in a new market, which is what I think the Bitcoin, the OG Bitcoin crowd, when Coinbase came out, that was something that had been come to realize. And then you have people who just, what eventually becomes the majority, which are all the people who have been onboarded in that way. And then they are just the community. Because everybody starts on those things anyway. You know, I think Coinbase saw that, like, look, a lot of people use us as a fiat on-ramp, but then they go off into MetaMask and they do stuff with NFTs. Why are we just putting all that on the floor? Why aren't we picking that up and, you know, actually making a great experience here? So I think, yeah, expansion always comes from the beginning of the funnel. And the reality is there's a hell of a lot less friction when you're looking at things kind of in the human way, the bigger kind of middle 50% market, that when you think of the product adoption curve, like the way they're going to think of it, and it's a way that is digestible, and it's a way that they can. But also, what you were saying about like the way that people can use credit cards and that, and like there are security steps to like make sure this can be tracked and all of that. But I think like nothing beats a blockchain record to be able to look at seeing what happens. So that's another advantage of stablecoins. But that, I feel like that's even such a primitive value to even speak of. What I generally say, I think a lot of people ask, like, what are you going to do with USDtz if there's USDC and USDT on the ground on Tezos directly? And it's like, for one thing, like we kind of had that like through the wrap version, and on other blockchains where they do wrap versions of those coins, they sustain liquidity and they get used if they don't have any other stable coins. But regardless, it's like, for one thing, great, because that's going to be huge. That's going to explode USDtz. I mean, just being the only other participant in that ecosystem, which is, going to have ultimately one or two or three players in something that should have many, many diversified stable coins out there. That's how you diversify risk. But also, like, the long-term play here with how to add value is thinking of something blockchain specific with USDtz, where it's like, there's always like kind of the multi-chain approach to stuff. There's kind of that limited multi-chain approach. I mean, technically USDtz uses Ethereum collateral contracts, right? And then there's like that sort of specific domain. So if you're diversifying anyway, there's always this massive market for domain specific. So
when is full suite of TezFin coming out?
It should be. I'm trying to see if we can get it out this week.
Oh wow!
So that's how close we are. But we're assessing everything to make sure that it's there. There's still going to be, we'll rely on the community, of course, for feedback and all of that, and beta testing, right? I mean, it's to say like, okay, this UI here, or what is that, and just keep making it better through the feedback loop. But we'll get it done. It'll work. And also, what's so great about that early market, when you do have exposed pipe and everything, like for good or for bad, that's the most forgiving time, because people are kind of like, they're there with you, and they know this is early, and then we're all pulling together. They're part of this ecosystem, so they're kind of like, okay, which is also the good thing about like a beta. When you style something as a beta, it's just a bit more forgivable. So we got that going. But yeah, so
I can't wait to see it. So
yeah, well, I mean, there's a cycle at work. So there's that entry point of liquidity. There's getting it into DApp programmable usage, where it's stablecoin that's on Tezos, or wrapping it, whatever suits the case at the moment. And then you have like being able to do stuff with it, activities like adding to a liquidity pool or buying an NFT. Whether you're doing this with Tez or you're doing it with USD or some other kind of whatever you've made liquidity of, right? You're doing stuff with it. You're in the ecosystem. Your money's moving around. Pistons are going. I don't know how a car works, but yeah, like it's out there. And then you got the lending, and that's like that engine that, like, the hardest part I have explaining like the context of it, I think, to those that are coming to the ecosystem from the outside and haven't just been in my crazy headspace for however long, is always that, like, it's not just another app or another thing we hadn't had on Tezos. This is like the thing that like makes all the things so much better. Like, it's designed for that.
Yeah, like fundamentally what, and you probably are already doing this, like, is there a roadmap for kind of some of the core feature to be built directly into some of the wallets? Because that's kind of, I think, on Solana, where Phantom Wallet did a really great job. You can like DeFi, land, stake, do it directly in the Phantom Wallet, right? So
yeah, ultimately all these layers, like if we think of that cycle where like lending and all this stuff comes, if we think of that as a stack, just like any other, like a development stack, like these applications, eventually they all kind of flatten, like they get more integrated because you more of a market goes from like that entry point to like their end goal. And then so it's only a matter of time before someone thinks, what about a one-click solution for this, Yeah, which is kind of crazy to think about with crypto and with DeFi because it's so nascent. But the example I like to think of is, I think it was 1999 or maybe years before that. It was Jeff Bezos filed a patent for the one-click buying. And it was actually, the way it was explained to me by IP lawyers is that it was in like the kind of the funny, like the goofball email threads or something of the IP law world. Like, how can you try and patent one-click buying? Or you get out of here. Like, it was just this ridiculous thing. It's like, oh, if there's something that doesn't get, this is not gonna. But what happened was, everyone forgets at that time in the late 90s, there was always like a million steps to try to buy something. Are you sure you want to do this? This is your last chance. Are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure? Because you're not going to get it back when it happens, And everyone was thought that everyone was going to be terrified of buying something online. So once other providers decided to try that one-click buying option after everything, the tide kind of shifted because everything started flattening, and we started to see like, all right, this is the new normal. That's when Bezos really had a case, and he got it passed for the one-click buying. That's how he has the patent on one-click purchasing, and that's why you don't really see that anywhere else, not in the way that Amazon has it. So I think even though the instinct is to think that there'll be a lot of friction, the reality is over time it's going to get flattened. So wallets, I don't want to bring Danny in here a second if he sets up his. I think he's working on setting up his microphone and camera. Daniel Sofer from Prime Trust. Which is something that we've made a deal with. I said we'd have an update to the U.S. policy that we can talk about. But Danny, whenever you're ready, you can just switch on your camera. Then I'll be able to see that you have. Yeah, let me see if he's okay. All right. So we'll be able to get to that point, and then that. It's not going to be able to. I don't think it's going to be like so dangerous that it's not childproof. Like, you'll ultimately still have to use maybe either not necessarily a ledger wallet. If you
one-click buying, I'm excited. Yeah. Well, apparently I can't use that because Bezos patented it.
Can't do it. He's got the patent.
I feel like I've done maybe twice one-click buying ever since on Amazon. Maybe once.
I think so too. I think that's what I did. Because I wanted to see how it worked. But it wasn't for not because it's not easier, but because I think I noticed there might be options that I'm missing if I do the one-click buying, and I like to curate that.
But
the point
pick your card, pick what you're delivering to.
Three clicks is much better than 5. Which is much better than 10.
And I think we probably all just have, having gone through Web 1, it's probably like we're like poorly conditioned to expect to go through a few steps. Right. So one click actually feels like kind of a little bit foreign.
But it's also the propensity to screw up or to not know if you screwed up or not, which I feel like people going through even the most convenient wallets, like to do their NFT stuff if they're a newcomer, they don't have this problem on OneOf, but they're not doing anything wrong and it's fine and they're doing it okay, but they just don't know that because it just seems so convoluted. It's a new stuff. Once we get used to that, a certain process, we start to expect why would they have an issue with it? Just figure it out.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues with blockchain payments, right? I think the but time to finality is a huge thing, right? So that's we've done a lot on Coinbase Commerce, but it's if you're paying with Bitcoin, if you're paying with Ethereum, if you're paying with Bitcoin, it's relatively lower gas fees, but it could take 30 minutes to finalize the transaction, right? Like, so,
Right.
you know, our site doesn't hold the inventory for you because NFTs are usually sold out in 2 minutes in the collection. So you missed out.
Yeah, it doesn't really
waiting, right? And then you kind of like, I sent that Bitcoin, I sent that 0.004 Bitcoin, and like you're
Right.
always kind of holding your breath on like 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, did that like show up in my other wallet, or
Yeah.
like did that show up in
And by the way, if
completed
you're like, if one is a Bitcoin maxi, that's not FUD at all. It just means that like, okay, at this point, this is the way that makes sense to do things on crypto. You know, it's like, well, one day we'll have layer 2s and we'll do this, and it's just like, okay, yeah, sure, and we're keeping it warm for you. You know, it's like we're getting all the people in, and if it really is that great, then maybe we'll all go there too, sure. But it's like that's kind of connectedness of the ecosystem between the blockchains, that like we all benefit from each other's growth and adoption. And
like
every strata of it. Yeah.
You know, I think right, that's kind of like when you know, when we're talking about when we can get to a sub like 10-second like confirmation finality, which is, you know, I think
we're days away. Let me see.
That's the expectation, right? So from
right,
that matches the credit card confirmation cycle, right? So
yeah.
And you know, and honestly, the credit card confirmation cycle is basically like, it basically like verifies, and you know, the issuing bank basically says like, we're good for this payment, you can release the product, right? Like no money has actually been physically transferred into the next account,
right?
So but that's a pretty genius, like, you know, 20-year technology now, or like 20+ year technology now. So
yeah,
Kevin, I actually do have to jump. So
yeah, and we're coming up on
Danny
the hour
joining
now.
you soon. So
yeah. Well, we could just wrap up because
yes,
we're at the hour point. Yeah.
This was
he had
botching and booze. That's why I had my booze with me. So botching and booze and DeFi and NFT.
Right.
So
we'll probably do a follow-up with Danny because yeah, we did want to talk about Prime Trust, but I think he's been having technical issues. So but that would have been cool. So but yeah, so we're calling that right. So stablecoins tokens to be added to OneOf as Dogami, and that's hopefully the birth of a couple more announcements on that front, because you know, we're opening it up for commerce now, whereas you know, we can't really get them like Center and USDC to come to here yet on one level, but also getting on Coinbase Commerce maybe precedes that as well. So we're creating something for that. We're going to have tzRamp come out, which will be part of TEZEX, which would enable using all of these DEXs we've built over time and all these liquidity pools, connecting that to these credit card conduits, so that we can actually source these tokens and lay that out for any Tezos token in the Tezos ecosystem, and being able to do that with the US denomination value for USDtz, and hopefully TezFin this week. Yeah, so on the US announcements, I guess I'm tempted to say something, but like, you know, it makes more sense obviously if we have Prime Trust, because it definitely involves them. But yeah, so we'll follow up with that. I said we'd do more of these last time we did a event on this channel, but so here we are. So I'll probably do more and more of these all the time, and we'll do more demos of obviously when TezFin launches, we'll probably do it on here. But yeah, thanks for coming. Thanks, Lynn.
yeah, great to be here. Bye.
Bye.